One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.
Welcome back, everyone, to One Word.
One Word.
One word.
That was long awaited.
Yeah.
And
We did it, everybody.
highly necessary. We've been away for so long. Here we are back with season 2. We got picked up for another season.
Hey.
By ourselves.
By ourselves. We picked ourselves up. We said, you know what? We're going to do it again.
Picked ourselves up, dusted off our shoulders.
Of course, you'll remember me from season 1. I'm Dominic.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Chloe. I'm new.
Yes, I was going to say, you were not going to remember one from season 1. Although you might, if you listen to Legacy, the last one, we had a guest host, and that was Clara. And Clara is now a permanent host of One Word with us.
Lucky
here.
me.
Permanency.
You are lucky, but not
You
as lucky as we
never
are.
leave.
Wow.
Never.
You're ours forever now.
Forever and ever.
Yeah. Lots of changes this season.
So many changes.
So many.
Besides Clara. Clara is like the best change, right? Having
Yeah,
Clara is
absolutely.
fabulous.
Not that we
Yes.
didn't love Zoe.
We loved Zoe, but we love being able to have Clara as well.
Yeah.
But another great change we have, we are in a new studio.
That is right.
Yeah, we are in the BFAC On Air studios. And y'all, let me tell you, it's beautiful.
Fancy schmancy.
We've
Yeah.
got TVs where we can see ourselves,
That's
and
right.
that's really lovely
and Jenna
for me.
really likes being able to see herself.
I do. I'm very vain in that way. I enjoy my reflection. We have a table. We have a spot for a guest. Oh my gosh.
do, yeah.
Do any of you want to be our guest? Email us.
You can sit right here.
Yeah, we've
We'll
got
fly you
cameras.
in.
So
That's right.
you guys will be able to see us if you want to see us and hear us because, you know, that's what podcasts do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true. You can listen to the podcast, or you can watch the podcast on BFAC On Air
Yeah.
as well. So if you prefer to view it, you can view it there.
Yeah, if you want to see our
Someone-
lovely faces.
I make funny little faces.
Hey, how
yeah,
you
look at
doing?
the camera and go,
What's up, baby?
That's it. That's a great, funny little face
thanks.
there.
We make funny faces.
But let's get on to the episode because our very first word for
Yes.
season 1, or season 2, boy, I'm stuck in season 1. Season 2 was potential.
Potential.
Yeah.
Really, I've said this every time, and it does not cease to amaze me how when we start with a word, it kind of takes on a life of its own.
It does.
And it becomes something different and more interesting.
Yeah.
And that is very true here today,
There
too.
was a lot of potential with this word.
There really
I
was.
think I would go as far as to say that it reached its potential through its generation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I actually think I have one of those. That's the wrong button to press.
Wicca, wicca.
Is it this button?
No.
Not that one either.
That's our game show button.
Now we have There it is!
It is. Okay.
Hey.
I got to get better at my button usage, everyone.
Button game week. L button game.
Yeah, so just really became something unique and
Yeah.
had a life of its own.
Yeah, it did. There were a lot of great things that we talked about in this episode. I mean, so much, but a lot about where, like your potential can come from, where, you know,
Where it comes from,
where
yeah.
it comes from. There's actually a quote that I wanted to say in the episode that I didn't get to say.
I'm sorry.
Someone wise once said,
Yes.
okay, you may not know where your gifts may lead, and it may not show at the start. Right. And it
Yeah.
just, and that, I don't know, just when you're thinking about this episode and listening to it, I don't know, just think about yourself and like what you have. And
Yeah.
you don't know where it's going to end up. Do you know who said that quote?
Was it Mahatma Gandhi?
It was not, but you're close.
Okay. Winston Churchill.
You're getting hotter. I'm just going to tell you.
Please,
okay?
please share with me.
It's from the movie Barbie and the Princess and the Pauper.
Great movie.
It's a great movie, and it's a great quote and song.
That was my
and
next guess.
I knew it.
What song is that one from?
You may not know where your gifts.
Oh, it's the one she sings in town.
at the end. Yeah,
Erica.
Or is that? Yeah, it might be.
I think so. Clara and I are just like Erica and Annalise from that movie because they're blonde and brunette.
And that's what we are.
Yeah.
And is that where the similarities
And
end?
they're good best
Erica
friends.
sings, and she has brown hair,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
she's poor.
Oh.
And Annalise is a princess, just like me.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Also, in this episode, we talked a lot about.
Good segue.
Thank you.
Because we could talk about Barbie, Princess and the Pauper all day.
I figured I'd cut
No
myself
lie.
off. It'd be better.
Yeah, that's good.
Jenna had some great stories this episode about her teachers and what teachers can do to
Yeah.
help potential. That was a really interesting topic we covered.
That's great.
And we talked about the difference between like potential and how we use it in our day-to-day life, and we like kind of thought of it in the same way that we think about potential in physics. And it was really interesting to see like in physics, like you have to like have like work to get the potential energy.
Yeah, there is work to potential.
Yeah.
I think that is very evident in this one. There is work
Yeah.
that is needed.
You know what else we talk about a lot in this episode?
No.
Rock.
We do talk about rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about rocks.
So if you're a geology fan, you're going to love this.
Oh my-
Well,
The
you might not.
geology
You might
community.
not. You might
I
not
think-
love it.
I think Jenna was unnecessarily harsh.
Rude
to
about rocks. She's rude to rocks. Rock people get her.
You know what? I stand by you, Jenna, and what you said.
Thank you.
I think rocks are dumb also.
They're They're
Okay.
rocking.
Okay, well, I didn't say that.
You listen back to the podcast, you'll hear Jenna say rocks are dumb. Rocks can't hang.
It's word for word.
Before we get too much hate mail, and remember, you can email us at one word at bataviafineartscenter.org.
That's
Tell us how you feel about rocks.
Centre.
That is correct. CENTRE.
Centre. Fancy.
Without further ado, I just have one word for you. Potential.
Potential can be defined either as an adjective, where it's described as the possibility when the necessary conditions exist, or as a noun, where it's defined as someone or something's ability to develop, achieve, or succeed. And I've got the etymology right here.
Please,
also.
yes. Mhm.
It's first started to be a word in the late 14th century, where it came from old French words and a little bit of medieval Latin. And that Latin word potentia meant power, might, or force.
Power. Might. Force. You don't think of potential with power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you don't typically think of it with power. Although I just thought of something.
Yeah, please share
May
it.
I
Yeah.
throw something in there?
I would love if you'd throw something in there.
Do you think that potent and potential are related?
Well, when
Are they
something is very
familial?
potent, it's like a strong flavor
Yeah,
or
right.
smell. So.
Right. So I was just thinking about that in regards to.
Well, did you look that up beforehand?
No, I didn't.
No.
I did not look that up.
It struck her right
It
now.
just suddenly I was just like, potent is a part of potential.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Latin
give people
roots.
an update in the future if we find that out. We can look that up and
Okay.
come
We'll tell
back and
them.
give them an update.
I'm going to assume that it is.
Yeah, because I mean, it sounds like it comes from the same Latin root,
Yeah.
potentia.
They're cousins.
I find it very interesting, though, how we get from power, might, to ability to develop and to succeed. Do we know where that came from?
Samuel Coleridge.
Yeah.
Right?
Samuel Coleridge. Samuel was a poet, and in 1817, he used the word, and I think we all looked for the poem
We
or
did.
the
It's
letter.
Very hard to find.
It's very hard to find. The
It's very
poem
hard to find.
or the letter where he, for the first time, made it mean what we know it as today.
Yeah.
But what I can say in my research of him is that the things he wrote about had potential qualities to them, or had tones of what could become possible. He does have a quote. This is from his one of his esteemed works, Biographia Literaria, from 1817. And in it, he famously defined imagination as a unifying power, as the means by which finite individuals commune with the infinite. Think of the potential in that type of saying, right? I'm just going to read it again. He defined imagination as a unifying power, as the means by which finite individuals commune with the infinite. So meaning not everyone can do such a thing.
Yeah, and he seemed to. Now I don't know all too much about Samuel Coleridge.
We're good friends.
You guys are good friends.
Did you know he was so idealistic? He came up with a whole system of living where every human being had equal vote and say, and he actually moved to Pennsylvania to try to accomplish
Wow.
this.
Like, is he like a Quaker?
I do not believe he's a Quaker.
follow
just
through,
because
though.
he moved to Pennsylvania, he's a Quaker.
I feel like they might like that.
They may like that.
They would like that.
But it failed, and then he moved to Sussex. So
Okay.
that's a little bit about him. But he was very intrigued by the imagination and the possibilities that the imagination could bring to the world.
That's what I was when I was reading some things about him. He was very inquisitive about those things. He did a lot of looking at almost like why, like he questioned why for a lot of things. Like,
Yes.
why is this happening? Why are we like this? Why is whatever. Yeah.
Well, and it's very interesting because there's a lot of questioning why to things. And I think that is sometimes what brings about potential as we know it today.
Yeah.
Right? So what is potential? As we know it today, what do we know about potential? What are qualities of potential? What are things we know about potential?
Well, from a scientific standpoint, I mean, when you think about physics, there's potential energy.
Yes.
And potential energy is like when something is about to move, like a spring that's being compressed or stretched, it has more potential energy than something that's just regular and how it is. Something that's poised to act, something that's about to do something has a lot of potential energy.
Yes. Here's the interesting thing about potential energy. And I didn't know as much about what potential energy was as I do now, because when you take the combination of what we're talking about with potential and you put it towards this potential energy, it makes you think of it in a different light. So let's just say, for example, that you've got a ball and you lift it up into the air. That ball has potential energy, true or false?
True.
True.
I fell on the spot
now,
now.
why do you say true? Do you have all the information to say true on
the
that?
ball is up in the air, right? Is it? You said you're
All
holding
I
the
said
ball
is
up.
you lift a ball up. Does it have potential energy?
It does have potential energy.
I
I'm pretty
know.
sure it has potential energy.
Yeah.
And part of like how potential energy is calculated, isn't it? It's like the higher it is, the more potential energy it has.
Great. So what if we're in space?
Okay.
Does it still have the same potential energy?
No.
Its environment is different.
Its environment and the system.
that's
in which-
interesting.
So the other characteristics that you put upon it sometimes can define the potential that can come out of it. So let me just read this definition of potential energy. I can't speak right now.
Potential
Getting back into
energy.
it.
What's the definition?
So it's energy held by an object because of its position relative to other objects, stresses within self, and other factors. I find the stresses within self to go beyond scientific physics things, because I think many things in the world have potential, and some people would say everything has potential, whether it's a tree or a bush or a snail or whatever it is, it has potential. And when you think about the scientific potential energy as being relative to other objects and stresses within self, I think that's very interesting.
That's true. And you know what? I do think everything has potential, except for, hear me out,
I'm going to hear you out.
except for a rock on the ground.
Except for...
That rock can't do anything.
Tell me why a rock on the ground
if the
doesn't.
rock were up in the air, then it might have a little bit more potential.
What about Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Well, Dwayne The Rock Johnson has
He
all
has
kinds
so
of
much
potential.
potential.
Oh, does
Yes.
does he have potential?
But like just a sedentary rock on the ground, I don't think it has a lot
Yeah,
of
did I say rock?
potential.
Did I say rock on the ground, or did I just say anything?
I think you said snail and tree.
You said anything. I just threw out there rock.
Okay, all right, great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I just was
I might
thinking,
have.
what could not have potential? And rock is what came to me.
So, what's the opposite of potential?
Kinetic.
Well, in science,
Going through with it.
Yeah.
so in science, kinetic is, but if you think of potential, it's like something that has not really come to fruition. So, what's the opposite of potential?
Something that's already happened.
Yeah. So the actual. So you've got potential and actual.
Can you
right?
have, okay, but
Yeah,
can you
please.
have, like, is potential almost in the middle? You know, like there's potential.
Well, that depends who you
then
ask.
maybe
I think,
there's
right?
actual, but then, like, is there something on this other side of it? I want to say, like, I'm not going to say the right thing, but I'm thinking like sedentary, right? Or like
Stagnant or something,
stagnant, right? Is there like stagnant? Like there's no potential, there's nothing going for it. There's no fruition happening, or even seemingly a possibility of happening. And then there's potential, and then there's the actual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that like? Can that be a timeline?
No, that's not a thing. I'm sorry
No.
about that. So if you go into the other realm of it, you've got potential and you've got actual.
Yeah.
Okay, potentiality and actuality, as Aristotle would say. And those are the two things that there are. So if you imagine potential and you imagine actual, and you can get to actual by action, and you can go from actuality back to potential as well. Okay? Imagine everything having potential. The potential being what it is meant to become. An egg could potentially become a chicken.
Or it can become breakfast.
Or
Yummy.
it can become breakfast. So by working and having action to that potential, giving it the right light, the right nutrients, all of those things, that egg can become an actual chicken. Then, once that egg has met its potential, it goes back from being actual to potential as that shell is now decaying. So the motion that takes you from potentiality to actuality is called generation. It has gone through its generation. And that which takes you from actual to the potential is called corruption, or the death, the dying of it. So imagine, like, let's say, like a government, right? You know, you're creating a government, just as our friend Coleridge wanted to do, where everyone is right, and it has potential. It's got potential, and you take action, and you're taking it to actuality, and then things go awry in this government. And then you abandon it, you leave, and it goes from being an actual thing, and it becomes corrupt, and it goes the opposite way until it's not actual anymore. It only holds potential to become something.
That makes me think of like a generation, because you said the word generation. So like
Yeah.
a generation of people,
Yeah.
they have so much potential. They grow up and they are
So,
actualized.
and we think of the word generation in those terms, but the way this is, the generation is from the time you are born until the time you become your potential. So that's like your peak, your prime. Maybe I'm already there, right? I've passed it. 5 years ago was my, sorry, you all don't get my potential, or my prime. It was 5 years ago, okay? But that's the generation. From the time I'm born till the time I reach what I'm supposed to become, that's the generation. And then as I'm becoming corrupt, I'm dying off.
But you can always have, like, I feel like you can always have, like, there isn't just one potential in you.
So that's very interesting too. Is there one potential, or are there 7,000 million potentials in your scheme of life? You can go as large scale as Big Bang to Big Chill, and as minute as the egg hatching into a chicken. That's a little time frame, and then everything in your life, you've got all these little potentials that can lead up to a big potential. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, like, because I don't know. I guess I was just thinking of, in that timeline, it just feels like, okay, there's like the actualization, but reaching your potential, and then it's like, I've reached my potential. Now I'm just gonna.
Then you retire, right?
Yeah, then you retire. Then there's like nothing after that. So I think it's interesting because I think there are so many different things within us where it's like you can find these little things that maybe you didn't realize was something that you were gifted at, or a potential that was within you, that maybe as you're older, like suddenly you're becoming or doing something else, or reaching other people in a different way that you didn't or even realized you could when you were younger.
So I'm going to bring it back to this then. Does that not depend on the other objects and stresses in your life? What those potentials are?
I have a quote. May I say a quote?
I'm hoping you will.
Please
Okay.
do.
So this quote, it says, "In each and every one of us, there are obstacles that hold us back. Only when you conquer that fear will your heart be free. Only then will you reach your true potential."
Wow.
All right?
Can you read that one more time for us?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Wow, there was something funny there.
No. In each and every one of us, there are obstacles that hold us back. Only when you conquer that fear will your heart be free. Only then will you reach your true potential. The reason why I laughed is because I'm hesitant to tell you who said it, because I don't.
Well, I want to know. You've got to
you
give
have
us
to
a
now.
quote now.
No, because I don't want it to be any less in your mind now, because
it's
it's
not
such
gonna-
a good quote. This quote is from the kids show Ninjago.
I thought it was going to be like Ayn Rand or something. I love Ninjago.
Yes, it's from Master Wu and Ninjago.
Yes.
And
I had brothers, so I watched lots of Ninjago. Not
Oh
that
my
girls
goodness.
can't love Ninjago.
Oh,
Why
Ninjago?
couldn't they?
I did.
Yeah.
I love
I
it.
also
But
loved it, and I didn't see
Yeah.
it till I was an adult in my 30s.
good stuff.
It's so good. And one of the things, if I may digress for a moment,
Please do.
One of the things about Ninjago is that there are these ninjas, and as they're living their lives and working, one of, like, their powers are kind of seated in their potential. So once they reach their true potential, that's when it's like they are unstoppable at that point.
Yeah.
But there's these obstacles that are stopping them all from getting to that. But when I was thinking about Ninjago and thinking about that quote, I just thought how true that really is.
Yeah.
For each of us. Just don't think about the Ninjago part if that's stopping you.
Well, but why? Because isn't that when potential starts? Why would we ignore where it comes from when something like that is brought to young people
I know.
to stimulate potential
Or
and
30-year-old
greatness?
people.
Or 30-year-old
30-year-old people.
Yeah. Right? And even, sorry, more.
No, go ahead.
More. When you think about, so there's like 4 or 5 ninjas in this show. And they each have these things that are stopping them. And one of them is like, where was it? I wrote it down because I was just so intrigued. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. One of them, his relationship with his father was what was holding his back.
Interesting.
Right?
Lloyd.
Well, Lloyd, yes, but also Cole.
Oh,
remember,
yes.
with it, yeah.
It's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
all there.
Jay needed to be himself and not try to be something else for other people.
Okay.
Nia accepted her past failures and realized that just because I might fail shouldn't stop me from from trying. Right? Like all these things. And you're like, man, I watch kid shows and I'm just like crying sometimes.
Inspirational.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
I mean, but all of that, again, back to the physics definition of relative to other objects and stresses within self. It's like the systems we're placed in within society can have a great deal to do with if, when, how, what we reach those potentials that are within ourselves.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think of like if there's no stress put on someone or no pressure, no stakes, they might not reach their full potential because they're just complacent and content with them achieving not their full potential.
I have a story.
Yeah.
Can't do a story. Sorry.
Please
I feel
tell a
like I've been
story.
talking
I
a
love
lot.
listening to you tell.
Aw.
That's why it's a podcast.
So when I was in 4th grade, I played the clarinet. I play a lot of instruments.
I played the clarinet. I used to play the clarinet.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Clara played the clarinet.
Clarinet.
You will not believe that. I've never heard that before in my life. That was the first time anyone's ever made that joke.
Are you serious?
No, they said it to me constantly. I played it for 3 years. No, 4 years.
Oh. Did you stop because people kept saying that?
Kind of a little bit.
Yeah,
But also
you did.
because
So you didn't reach your potential with the clarinet because of one of the factors you were placed within.
well, it's also because I wanted to be in choir and I liked singing a lot more than I liked the clarinet.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So I play the clarinet.
Yes.
I still play it actually. And when I was in 4th grade, that's when I first started playing the clarinet. And I loved it. It was fine. My brother played the saxophone, so I was really
My
kind
brother
of...
plays the saxophone also.
Really?
Yeah.
Another connection, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was really trying to
My
kind
brother
of emulate
played the
him.
saxophone as
Did
well.
he?
Yes, he did.
Saxophones are for brothers.
As did my wife.
And wives. And wives as well. And anyone, you know what? If you want to play the saxophone, if that's your potential, go play the saxophone.
Yes. Anyways, go on with your story.
So I played it, but I wasn't really, like, my brother was really good at the saxophone. He was really good at a lot of things. And I just played the clarinet. You know, like I wasn't necessarily trying to be anything great. I didn't see myself as being anything great whenever.
Don't take that statement and place it isolated from that. I wasn't trying to be anything great. You are great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to replay that back from Dominic every once.
Yeah.
It's your morning alarm.
Right.
You are great.
So when I was, growing up playing the clarinet, I was always, there's different chairs. There's like first chair, right? And I was always towards the end, and I
So
was
was
fine with
I.
that. I would like goof off with the people in the back all the time.
Yep.
And then I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Frederick. And Mr. Frederick, one day after we had done our auditions for chairs, he moved me up to second chair. And I just was like, why is he moving me up to second chair? Like, this makes zero sense. I should be in the back. Like, I shouldn't be up here with these people who are doing well and like having all this. But he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Oh. And so he moved me from the back, like all the way at the end. He moved me up, and suddenly I'm surrounded by these people who are playing well and who are wanting to do well. And then that helped me also be like, oh, I'm going to take this more seriously. I'm going to actually be something while playing the clarinet, I'm going to actually work at this and do well. And so I actually wrote a spoken word about him once.
Wow.
That just thought, because he literally, it changed the trajectory of my life, because before that I just was always somebody who didn't feel like I was being seen, but he saw me.
Yeah.
And then through that, I realized I can do this, and I'm good at this, and I'm going to continue to do this.
So the system you were in brought about circumstances which helped you reach your potential.
Mm-hmm.
The same individual in a different system, not on Earth, but in space, might not reach the same potential, right?
If you hadn't been put in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had this
stresses.
exterior force,
Yeah.
being the teacher,
Right.
That exterior force gave your potential a jump start there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think too, it also helped us all see people might not see something in themselves. So I think it's important to look out for other people too, to see, hey, I see something in you. I see where you could be great in this, even if you don't see this in yourself.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Do you know there
The
are
Muffin Man?
I do know.
Do you know him?
The Muffin Man?
Sorry.
Can you tell me where he lives?
He lives
Muffin
on Drury Lane.
Muffintown.
Wow.
Muffintown, USA.
Muffintown, USA.
How interesting.
It's very sweet there.
Sorry,
Dominic,
I
what
just
were you
derailed
saying?
us. I'm sorry.
So did you know there are certain qualities and characteristics which make people reach potential more than others? Did you know that? You did not know that?
What are they?
One is conscientiousness.
So being aware of, like, just conscientiousness in general.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
you're
well-
a conscious being, or you're aware.
Rocks aren't conscious, so that's why they have no
so
potential.
rocks don't have potential. If there's anything we've learned here today, it's that rocks don't have potential.
Yeah.
Yes.
So being aware of, like, you and what you are and what
Yep.
you have. And
So first of all, I want to
possess.
quote this. This is McRae. It's the person's name who it comes from. But yes, so conscientious people commit themselves to plans and make sure they carry them out to the letter. They're good at overcoming their impulses, thinking about their wisdom of their decisions for the long term.
That's not me.
That's a Capricorn. You just described a Capricorn.
I'm
Did
a
I just
Capricorn.
Yes.
So to a
Thanks for the
T,
confirmation.
done to a T. Adjustment, and you say you're not what that they
No.
say in this article from the BBC that everyone isn't all of these things.
Yeah,
So that's very
I'm
normal.
Not that first
But
one.
adjustment. Everyone faces anxieties, but people with high adjustment can cope with them more easily under pressure. So being able to adjust in the middle of a situation and go where it is going, that is another key.
I think I can adjust. I'm just going to rate myself along this as you're going.
There is actually a test.
Hey.
You can actually take a test.
I will
Ooh.
take it.
Chloe's already winning because she's a Capricorn.
Yeah.
That's true automatically.
Capricorns get higher on this test. Ambiguity acceptance.
I
That
thought you were
is-
just going to say ambiguity,
No.
and I was like, I'm there, or am I?
So answer this question then, right? Are you the type of person who would prefer tasks be well-defined and predictable, or do you relish the unknown? People with a high tolerance for ambiguity can incorporate many more viewpoints before coming to a decision.
I would never say that I relish the unknown.
Yeah.
I would not say that about myself.
Well, okay. That
We
sounds
are
good.
we are improvisers though.
Yes.
And part of our job is the unknown and harnessing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one, though.
Okay.
Okay. Curiosity. Compared to other mental traits, curiosity has been somewhat neglected by psychologists, yet recent research shows that an inherent interest in new ideas brings many adventures. So curiosity, people who are curious and ask questions, they are more likely to reach potential. Right. And I'm going to take it right back to Coleridge when he said and defined imagination as a unifying power as the means by which finite individuals commute with the infinite. Then we've got risk approach or courage. Would you shy away from potentially unpleasant trees?
Yeah.
Would you? Or might you know if you're in a situation, this unpleasant moment might be for the short term, but it's for the overall long-term good,
It's definitely going to depend on what it is.
right?
I honestly, like, truthfully, I think that I tend to shy away from things. And it takes so much for me to push myself and be like, no, it's fine. You got
But
this.
so it's not that you don't. I mean, it's not that it takes so much to do it.
Yeah.
Do you do it, though?
Sometimes.
Right?
For me, it's just hard to see the big picture. Like, I have such a hard time, like, being able to get through something and see that, like, how it's going to help me in the end, because I just feel terrible while it's happening. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's really a trait that comes easy to me. I think a lot of the times I'm forced to kind of do that.
But you're forced to do
I'm
it.
forced
And
to.
you do it, though.
which
So-
is good.
Which that's the thing. It's not whether it's difficult for you to do or not. I don't think.
It's whether
Nick Ray,
you actually
can
do
email
it.
us if I'm interpreting you wrong. Okay, but it's whether you actually do it.
Yeah.
It's whether you actually do it. And then the last one is competitiveness. And this one is it says there's a fine line. So this one, there's a fine line. It's not like becoming over competitive because it can ruin things, is what they go on to say. But having a healthy amount of competitiveness is the last trait that can help lead people to their potential.
I'm not a competitive person. Here's what I've learned about myself
Yes,
today.
please share.
I've learned that maybe I've already reached my potential. So I'm just
Not
kind of
true.
like, meh. Oh, no. Some of those things were definitely, I was like, yes, I am there. But some of them I think
Right.
is a struggle. And some of it I wonder if I'm better at than I think. You know, I tend to downplay a lot of the things that I do. My skills.
I see that in you a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think you're a lot greater than I think you would say for yourself.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Chloe?
I think that all of those traits and all of those skills are hard things. And when I think
Yeah.
about them in relativity to myself, I think about I'm not very good at that, or like that takes me a lot of effort to do. But most of them I do pretty regularly, or at least I try to. And I think that's the important thing.
Well, and I think they take work.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But even in science, the potential energy for it to turn kinetic takes work.
Yeah.
If nobody takes that ball that's sitting on the ground on Earth and lifts it up or pushes it up a hill, it does not, it just remains unactualized. But when someone works, a teacher works, you yourself work on some of those qualities, then the potential is unleashed and you can reach that actuality. So what does it mean to have potential?
I feel like a lot of the time when we're talking about having potential, it can feel like it's a little bit used against you because it's not just about yourself. It's about the position that you're put in, of
Yes.
course, and relative to other things. And so I feel like a lot of the times when kids don't really want to like try hard in school or like try hard and do an activity, their parents or their teachers will be like, you have so much potential. You're not putting in the work to like reach your full potential. And so having potential, I feel like, is kind of inherent to everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So you brought up something in my mind too. Can I just say that? Because potential, is it only good?
No. I think we've been talking so much about potential, and we've talked a lot about how it's almost like predestined. Like you are going to reach your potential. You are going to reach this thing. But in my head, like potential is so many things. You have the potential to do anything. You have the potential for good or bad or for all like anything. Because anything that you move to do is like your future. And that's where you will end up. Because it's kind of inevitable in life that you will move and you will become actualized. But there's just like infinite potential.
It's what that actualization is.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have the potential to like you can have the potential to do bad things, you know?
Yeah.
Like we kind of talked about your environment. If you are in an environment where, you know, there's negative stuff going on,
A prison system.
a prison system, right? Like the potential to commit a crime is there well, not in the prison. Well, also in
if
the
you tried
prison.
hard enough.
Yeah. Right, but there is that potential within there. So it's really about like the possibility. Like there is possibility in you to do good things or to do bad things or to do nothing at all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Potential. I think as Clara was saying a second ago, and maybe this wasn't your intent, but the word can get thrown around almost with reckless abandon. And I think sometimes when it's thrown around, it might be out of frustration of other people who can't find themselves how to help guide that potential. Because I think more than just what a human or a rock is, I'm kidding. Rocks have no potential whatsoever.
There's a rock out there listening that's really sad.
More than what they have as the potential, it is the circumstances that they are put in which can help guide that potential.
What makes me think is that, like, someone has to bring the rock up there, and some rocks are going to be higher than others, and they're going to have more potential because they're all the way up here. And there's some rocks that are on the ground and have no potential. And so it's like the work that other people do to help you can increase your potential. And that's why, like, being a teacher is so important, because you can, like, show kids their potential, like, put in the, like, just help them see it in themselves, and that helps them to achieve it.
We've never talked about this before, but I'm a teacher. I don't think we've ever said that before.
No, that's all right. So what is it then? What is it? What is the key to a world? We talk about these macro and micro ways in which potential can be reached. What is a way in which the world and its inhabitants can reach its potential, their potential? What is that way? It is more than just someone saying, oh, you can do better. It's someone guiding. It's someone providing those exact circumstances. It's someone providing the circumstances, the environment for you to grow, to help you get the characteristics that lead people to great potential. If people help people and put that work in, they lift the rocks up, then let the rock fall. That potential will become actual. That's what we're talking about. That is how you get better at the clarinet.
So true.
Someone is there to give you the environment you need to reach your potential. Have we ever stopped and thought about how many corners in the world exist where the environment is not present for, whether it's people, plants, not rocks, it's never rocks, people, plants, living things, to find their potential and make it actual? How many corners in the world are there? And how many people actually stop to think about the corners where the actual has no action, and so it only sits. It just sits there at potential, and it doesn't ever get the lift or the push that it needs. Because remember, potential energy. It's energy held by an object because of its position relative to other objects, stresses within self, and other factors. So the potential that humans can reach is dependent upon the other factors that are there. It is dependent upon the other people they are around. And I'm going to tell you something. It leads right back to the beginning, to the original definition we talked about. That is powerful. There is might to that. If we think anything is powerful, it's giving someone the push they need to reach their potential. It's powerful. Well,
Heck yeah, it is.
we have reached the end of our episode. This is the end of episode 1, season 2, my friends. Remember, you can email us at oneword@bataviafineartscenter.org. You can correct us. You can do anything.
Tell us
send
tell us your
emails.
thoughts. Tell us your hopes and dreams.
And your dreams and your hopes for our potential. Let's do that. Next month, our word in the month of October is villain.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am Dominic.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Chloe.
And I'm Clara.
And this has been One Word.
One word.
We will see you all next time.
One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.